We're now moving on to governing body committees, and I'm going to move the F&P Chair's report further down the agenda to have at the same time as the finance report. So Malcolm, you'll just have to be quiet for a little bit longer.
I'm trying to control myself.
But what we will do is go through and do the other committee chairs' reports and the locality director's report first. So Alison, over to you.
So just to say that the Quality Committee from last week, I'm going to ask the board to actually take this as read and take any questions.
No, I mean, I would just like to say it was a really good meeting, so really good discussion, and felt like things were moving forward well.
Thank you.
I think we want to reflect on acting, Jill, that meeting and the discussion is significantly better from where it, and I think the support that I think the team provide, but also the scrutiny and challenge from the members of the body we were describing last week as a team that we felt that has got into a much better place. So I think we were very confident with what that group is now doing.
There's no further questions on quality. We'll move forward to audit and risk, John.
Working on the same principle, assuming everyone's ready, I'm happy to take questions.
Questions? No questions? Okay, thank you very much for a very comprehensive report. Moving forward, again, a report from the PCCC committee, which I chaired because Rafe was having a lovely holiday last week. I will just remind members that there are items that are in these chair's notes, but people are conflicted on.
Yeah.
Some members are conflicted on, so just be aware if you've got any questions that sometimes it wouldn't necessarily be appropriate to raise items here because you are conflicted. But I'm happy to pick up any items or Rafe is from historic discussions that may be in the report. I think it was a good meeting.
I would agree. I was present, and it was a good discussion, and good meeting.
Good meeting. Okay. Right. Thank you very much. Report from the locality directors. And I understand there's going to be a verbal update by one on behalf of everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. If I kick off, then I'll hand over to Dr. Rainbow. Thank you for the opportunity to bring the locality director's report. We've had discussions with Jill. The timing of many of the locality meetings is not conducive to meeting a deadline for a written report, so we'll continue to work on how that is created for future. Dr. Rainbow has pulled together a verbal report from the meetings that happened last week, and I'll hand over to Alex to deliver that.
Sure. So the number one sort of feedback from the members was regarding the national network DES. There's a concern that it was so out of keeping with the previous resilience message that it ran the risk to impair the enthusiasm and the engagement with the membership on the whole of PCN development. There was the feeling that also wasn't helped by some confusion over the quiz, including its funding, and specifically that recruitment for the network national DES could be and is challenging for some areas. We wanted to feedback that membership were very pleased that the CCG had formally responded, and also very pleased that response had been communicated with the practices. Felt that went down well. We're pleased to see that the interface work is starting afresh, and now we're concerned to see the results and fruits of that, as it's a long-standing issue. We wanted to flag up that LD recruitment is looking to be a risk, especially with the corporate day moving to Thursday. We think current membership engagement will need ongoing work, especially through this transition period. We think the significant changes with the merger, staff realignment and its impact on business as usual is being felt by the membership. We really welcome the intent that's in the new constitution. And finally, and this is a little bit of a personal add on. Just wanted to let the governing body know that the development work that's been taking place in Glebe, which has been through this business case, is going well and near completion.
Thank you. Do you want to respond to this?
I can do some of them,
Yeah.
not all of them. So PCN does. I think. So I think we recognise, don't we, the fact that it did not land well. Let's be frank. And I have the fortune of I chair the South East England Regional Primary Care Board. So I was able to coordinate the responses of all the 6 areas in South East to go back up to the centre. But I think also it was important that I think we wrote out to our membership that we recognise this was a problem, if that makes sense. I think, and we had to sort of say that quite clearly, because I think otherwise, if we were silent, they would have thought, oh well, are we trying to make it happen? Where this lands now, who can say? To be frank, I think we're in that sort of moment of working out what that looks like. But with our membership on. Initially PCNs, one of the very strong drivers was about GP and primary care workload, wasn't it? It was one of the very clear drivers, and suddenly this land is adding quite a lot to it, so it didn't seem to even reference it, so there's that bit. So I think we need to monitor that and collectively get that one right. And my personal preference on this would be, I think, what would make the most sense for all of the... So first of all, the ambition is probably right. It's the timeliness of how that can be achieved, to be frank. And there are some oddities in there along the way that don't make complete sense. But I think that what we're saying is we believe that the ICSs or STPs should probably be working with their own relevant PCNs on their own roadmap to achieving that, rather than it being a sort of prescribed, it must be by this date. So I think that's where we are for PCN. Interface issues, just to make sure the government are aware what they are, that is the interface between our providers, if that makes sense. So how sometimes there can be felt to be significant handoffs, and our primary care membership have reported quite frequently they feel at times quite a lot of handoffs to them, particularly from secondary care, but also at times issues regarding referring into services, and we've got raised quite a lot about community services when that comes together. So we've been quite clear with Hannah that we want to see what the roadmap for those areas being addressed going forward. I think that's clear. On the change, there's a lot of change afoot, so yes, I would expect the membership to be feeding it, but I think what we've also had quite a lot of feedback is that they have also felt they've been getting much more regular attendance from the same people going to their relevant meetings going forward, but I think we've got work to do to make sure that lands going forward. In terms of membership engagement, we go through each of the membership meetings now as an executive team. Wendy takes the corporate brief for that and is sure who is attending from the exec team for each of those sessions going forward. And what we want to do is ally to each of our localities a relevant senior manager who is the senior manager for that particular locality. So we're currently devising that model together so they get a consistent person who can always represent them alongside the primary care team, because often they're raising things which are not just primary care related. So that's what we're working through at this current point. On then the locality director recruitment, Jill, I'll ask you.
I think we'll pass to Terry.
Yeah, sorry.
Because he's leading it on behalf of the new
sorry.
governing body. But
yeah, so there were 2 points. One was about the corporate day, and just for clarity, and Laura, you might want to say more about the decision that we've reached on the corporate day, so that stands. Recognising that there are some challenges in terms of recruitment to locality directors, and there's some feedback about the time commitment and the remuneration as well. We'll say more about that at part 2, but that's a REMCOM conversation rather than the conversation here.
Okay, corporate day. I've had conversations with you in our regular meetings along with Laura. A decision has been made that the corporate day for the new West Sussex CCG will be Thursday. We do appreciate that it's going to be difficult for some governing members, clinical and non-clinical, moving forward if they've got other commitments on a Thursday. We will help support people with their practices as far as possible if they want to stand and going forward. But again, I think we need to take that in part 2 when we talk about the transition agreement. So we're happy to leave that there. But thank you, Alex. That was a very good summary, I think, of all
a tiny bit to
yeah.
the risk of the network does and our strategic view of how we see PCNs and the community. There are some PCNs who are deliberately not looking to recruit any more PCN staff because they're actually uncertain as to the future of PCNs and their commitment to PCNs, which seems completely against the intention or even the strategic driver. So that could come back to us as a CCG going forwards. We have to wait for the new days, but
And that may be a month or 2 months away yet. So. Okay. All right. Thank you for that.